Hey everyone, Dan here. We're in the after hours of Wednesday, June 16th. Today we're going to take a look at Chewy. Before we get into it, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button. It helps a lot, as does adding your comments below with your own ideas, questions, thoughts, tickers that you'd like me to cover, or what have you. I look at those every night, though it may take me a few days to get back to you. All right, so Chewy had a really nice day today, up almost 4.5% on a day when the Fed spooked the market a bit, especially around midday, with basically an assessment that inflation will likely be 1% higher than previously expected, and growing consensus that rates will be raised sometime next year. That said, everything generally started to recover in the afternoon, but Chewy basically just had an overall pretty solid day. So I wanted to see where we are, sort of get the 6-month context on things. You know, this basically 50% price points here at 64, nearly 50% of what it was when it was at 120. And that was just in February. So pretty rapid, pretty accelerated beat down here on Chewy, and just kind of showing some signs of recovering, though it had a couple rough days leading up to today, and we'll talk about sort of some factors that I think contributed to that. But first I wanted to start off by plotting some price points, and then we can talk about how we can use these price points in the days and weeks ahead to look for entry positions, dip buying opportunities, averaging in opportunities, take profit, trimming, that sort of thing. So these are the price zones that I see as being pretty impactful buy-sell, aka support resistance markers for Chewy. Let's plot it up to about there. Heck, let's go one more and give ourselves something close to 100 to aspire to. So this is what I see in the broader chart for Chewy. We should probably throw something below here too in case it does push back a bit again. I'd look for it to hold something right around there. So, obviously these sections or these price zones below are potential support zones that I'd look for. I'd look for it to catch at 72.33 if it needs it. That's quite a ways off of where it is currently, but these are, I'm trying to put in some decent size ranges so you're not just stopping every 50 cents or so along the way. It seems kind of useless to do that. And right now it's butting up against this zone at 77.06. So if it can get support there, it potentially has some pretty clean running room up to 80. I think it might have a little stickiness here, right at about 80, but then it has a pretty clear zone to 83, and then nearly 87, 92, 98 on the upside. So that's what I would look for in the days ahead. And if you're looking for an entry point, maybe you're thinking Chewy has gone through this pretty oppressive beatdown from 120 down to where it is now. And so I don't really trust these recoveries. You saw a bit of that here, and then it kind of waffled on that and then got another big push down. So maybe you're kind of distrusting of it. So one way that you can look at this is, maybe it makes a run toward that 83 mark, hits some resistance there, starts to pull back. What you can look for is it to start to pull back toward that 80 price point is what I would say. You might get a good bounce at 80 if it does make a run at 83 and pulls back a little bit. So I would start averaging in around 80 and then maybe continue averaging my position down to that 77 area. And if it can't hold that, maybe give it some breathing room of 1 ATR below that price zone of 7704, and maybe use that as a tight stop loss just to sort of preserve capital and not take big risks. But otherwise, I would look at it dip buying and then looking for price targets on the upside as we have them charted. On the indicator side of things, just about mid-range. So it had a pretty good day today, but because of this big selling pressure it had days prior, it was pretty low. It was nearly oversold. So this push-up just brings it a little bit above mid-range, and so it has definitely plenty of space if it wants to push up further. A nice bullish crossover here, relatively steep-ish of a crossover, so that could give it some added momentum. We'll see how high this bullish histogram momentum runs, but if it can stretch back up here around 1.5 on the MACD, that would give it some nice opportunity to push toward that 83 zone. On the MA side of things, they're relatively bunching up here a bit since there's been this sort of herky-jerky action, up, down, up. And so as these begin to unwind, that will be potentially a pretty quick indication of whether it's going to unwind in a bullish or bearish fashion. Luckily, it does have the support of the 50, the 20, and the 200 right under it. And so those could offer additional support zones as it touches those if it needs it. I would zoom in a little bit because there's something potentially a little bit interesting here. I thought it was going to be on the 5-day. Let's see what the 1 month looks like here. Okay, it's more so on the 1 month. All right, so there's like a little bit of a channel that broke today. If you see here, we'll talk about how we might be able to play this even though it broke the channel. So pretty solid channel here that it had been in for quite a few days. Testing the bottom 2 or 3 times. The third time it kind of fell through there. Testing the top 5 or 6 times. So pretty solid. But look what's happened. Fell out, tried to hug it, got pushed down a little more, and then sprang right back up to the bottom bound of this channel. So if it re-enters this channel, it will get that support at 7704 or 7706, sorry. It'll have to get support there if it wants to stay in this channel and then get back in by bouncing off the bottom bound and coming back up. If that happens, that to me would indicate a really good dip buying opportunity, especially if it comes up into the channel a little bit and then comes back down to test it and it holds the bottom of that channel and starts to bounce back up again. To me, that would be a really, really good potential dip buy opportunity to get in. Or I guess at that point it would be buying into price strength on Chewy. So I would look for that in the more near term. So I'm going to leave this on my chart because I'm going to be looking for that exact play in the coming days. As it pertains to like the selling off here and here that we saw, so basically selling off on the 9th, selling off on the 11th, the 10th, just sort of like a sideways battle, if you will. I did take a look at the short data day over day, and you see a relatively big uptick in the short volume here, starting on the 2nd and all the way through the 11th. The shorts have significantly backed off as of the 14th. So if you look at that here on the chart, here's the 14th. They really, really reduced positioning here. My guess is a bunch of them took profits when there was this giant beatdown that happened from about 78 all the way down to 74. My guess is a bunch of closing of short positions there, taking profit. Maybe they had even started to short up here. And then they're sort of leaving it alone at the moment, giving Chewy an opportunity to recover. If Chewy can get additionally some volume, because today was pretty average volume, I think it was exactly average, 4.29 million, average is 4.03, so definitely not like an uptick in volume. Pretty standard volume, still resulting in a really green day over relatively challenging overall market conditions. So I would look for that to continue to shore up as the days go on, especially if it's going to regain this channel. But I would keep an eye on the shorts because clearly, as they started coming in on the 2nd through the 11th, that price definitely got pushed around quite a bit. Where is the 2nd? Sorry, I forgot what time frame I was on here. Scrolled back way too aggressively there. All right, so after this big run up, it looks like the shorts started to come in, obviously pushed it down and had a bit of a battle along the way, continued to pile in through here, and then started to get some victories, and then sort of took those profits and moved along for the time being. But with some running up, I'm sure they'll come back. So just keep an eye on that daily short volume, and as it continues to creep up, just know that it might be pushing the price down, and as you see, it's often pushing it down right at open. And then whether or not that persists throughout the rest of the day is a question on a day-to-day basis, but a lot of that does seem to come in right at open. So I would just be mindful of the early trading activity in Chewy. It's sort of like extra impactful on this one. You see these big green, often like persist for several hours or pretty decent sized runs, maybe an entire day even. And so I would just keep an eye on that as the days unfold. All right, well, good luck if you're in this one. I may join you pretty soon. I will certainly tweet about it if that's the case. My Twitter handle is in the description below. And, if there's interesting things happen, I certainly wouldn't mind providing an update video on the channel in the days ahead. All right, well, thanks a bunch for watching. I wish you all the best, and I will see you in the next video.